You're deep in the woods. No signal. No help. And something outside your tent is breathing. These aren't made-up campfire stories. These are real accounts from real people who went into the wilderness and came back changed forever. Some of them barely came back at all. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will make you think twice before you ever go camping again. Welcome to True Scare Tales. Before we get into it, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now and smash the like button. We drop real horror stories every week, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. Now let's get into it. Our first story comes from a man named Derek, a 34-year-old from Oregon who had been camping his entire life. He grew up in the Pacific Northwest, spent his summers hiking trails, fishing in mountain streams, and sleeping under open skies. For Derek, the woods were home. Safe. Familiar. That all changed on a solo trip he took in the fall of 2018 deep into the Cascade Range. He had done this particular trail 3 times before. He knew the terrain. He knew the sounds. Or at least, he thought he did. Derek set up camp on a Friday evening, about 6 miles from the nearest trailhead. No other campers around. Just him, his tent, a small fire, and the sound of wind moving through the pine trees. He ate dinner, wrote in his journal, and turned in around 10. He told interviewers later that the first night felt completely normal. He slept well. Nothing unusual. The second night was different. He woke up just past 2 in the morning to a sound he couldn't immediately place. It wasn't an animal sound he recognized. Not a deer, not a bear, not a coyote. It was lower, more deliberate, like something heavy shifting its weight just outside his tent. Derek lay completely still, the way experienced campers do when they're not sure what they're dealing with. He controlled his breathing and listened. The sound moved, slowly, around the left side of his tent, then to the back. Then it stopped. Derek reached quietly for his flashlight and his bear spray. He waited a full 5 minutes without hearing another thing. Eventually, he unzipped his tent just enough to shine the light out. Nothing there. He scanned the tree line. Nothing. The fire had burned down to low orange coals. Everything looked still. He told himself it was probably a bear passing through, zipped back up, and tried to sleep. But then it came back. This time closer. And this time there was something else with it. A smell. Derek described it as something between rot and wet soil, like a dead animal that had been lying in standing water. It was strong enough to make his eyes water inside the tent. He grabbed his bear spray, his knife, and his boots and sat up fully. He was done sleeping. He sat there in the dark for over an hour. The smell faded slowly. The sound stopped. But Derek told every person he shared this story with that whatever was out there that night, it was not an animal he had ever encountered before. When morning came, he packed up and hiked back to his car without stopping. On his way out, about a mile from where he had camped, he found something that genuinely shook him. 3 large trees in a rough triangle pattern had deep gouges in their bark, starting about 7 feet off the ground and dragging downward in long parallel lines. The spacing between the marks was too wide to be a bear, too high for most animals to reach comfortably. Derek photographed them and later shared the images on a hiking forum. He never got a satisfying explanation. He has not camped alone since. Now that story is unsettling enough on its own. But our second story takes things to a completely different level, because this one didn't happen in a remote wilderness area. It happened in a public campground, surrounded by other people, which somehow makes it even more disturbing. This account comes from a woman named Sarah and her husband Marcus, a couple from Tennessee who were camping with 2 other families at a state park campground in the summer of 2020. It was a long weekend trip, 4th of July, kids running around, music playing, completely relaxed and social. The kind of camping trip that feels about as far from danger as you can get. On the second night, after everyone had gone to bed, Sarah woke up needing to use the restroom. The camp bathrooms were about 200 feet from their site, a short walk down a lit path. She grabbed her phone, pulled on her shoes, and headed out quietly so she wouldn't wake Marcus or their kids. The path was lit by those low yellow campground lights, and she could hear the distant sounds of other campers. A baby crying somewhere, someone's radio still playing low. She felt completely fine. On her way back from the bathroom, she noticed a man standing at the edge of the path just past the light. He wasn't moving, just standing there, facing her direction. She assumed it was another camper, maybe someone else up late, and she kept walking. As she got closer, she realized he wasn't moving at all, not shifting his weight, not looking around, not doing anything people naturally do when they're just standing somewhere. He was completely still, facing her, and she could not see his face clearly, but she had the overwhelming and immediate feeling that he had been watching her the entire time. She walked faster. He didn't move. She got back to her site, got inside her tent, and zipped it up. She woke Marcus and told him what she saw. Marcus looked out and said there was no one there. Sarah tried to convince herself it was nothing, just some guy out for a walk who happened to be standing still at a weird moment. She almost believed it. Until the next morning, when the family camped directly across from them mentioned that someone had been standing outside their tent in the middle of the night. Their teenage son had seen him through the mesh window, standing completely still, just watching. Two families. Same campground. Same night. Same man. Just standing there in the dark, watching. The campground host was notified the next morning and a check was done of the registered campers. Everyone was accounted for. No one admitted to being out that late. No one matched the description Sarah or the teenage boy gave. Whoever that man was, he was never identified. The park has no record of any incident that night. Sarah and Marcus have never returned to that campground. And honestly, after hearing what happened to them, you wouldn't either. But here at True Scare Tales, we don't just stop at 2 stories. Because our third story is the one that kept me up putting this video together. This one comes from a group of 4 college friends, 2 guys and 2 girls, who went on a camping trip in the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina in October of 2019. Their names were Tyler, Josh, Amanda, and Reese. They were experienced enough campers, not hardcore survivalists, but they had done plenty of overnight trips before. This was supposed to be a fun fall weekend. Leaf colors, cool air, a couple of nights under the stars before the semester got too heavy. They drove up on a Friday afternoon and found a dispersed camping spot off a Forest Service road, away from any official campground. No facilities, no neighbors, just 4 young people and a patch of flat ground surrounded by hardwood trees turning red and gold. They set up 2 tents, built a fire, and spent the first evening exactly like you'd want to. Talking, laughing, eating food that tastes better outdoors for no logical reason. The first night passed without any issues. Clear sky, cold air, deep sleep. Saturday was a full day of hiking. They covered about 9 miles on a loop trail that took them up to a ridge with a view that Tyler described as one of the most beautiful things he had ever seen. They got back to camp tired, happy, and hungry, cooked dinner over the fire, shared a bottle of wine, and started heading to bed around 11. Tyler and Josh were in one tent. Amanda and Reese were in the other. Everything was fine. Josh woke up first. He said it was somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, and he wasn't sure what had pulled him out of sleep. He just opened his eyes and was immediately fully awake in that way that feels less like waking up and more like something woke you. He lay there and listened. The woods were quiet. Too quiet, he thought, though he admitted later that might have been his mind filling in details after the fact. What he did not imagine, what he is completely certain of to this day, was the voice. It was coming from somewhere in the trees just beyond the edge of camp. Low and quiet, the kind of volume that made it hard to tell exactly how far away it was. And it was saying words. Not random sounds, not animal calls, not whine through branches. Words. He couldn't make out exactly what was being said, but the rhythm and cadence was unmistakably human speech. Someone was out there in the dark talking. Josh nudged Tyler awake and whispered to him to listen. Tyler heard it too within seconds. Both of them sat up and stayed completely silent. The voice continued for what they estimated was 2 or 3 minutes, low and steady, like someone reading from something or reciting something from memory. Then it stopped. Then after about 30 seconds of silence, it started again, slightly farther away, or slightly in a different direction. They couldn't agree on which. Tyler grabbed his flashlight and started to unzip the tent. Josh grabbed his arm and told him not to. They had a whispered argument about it that both of them now describe as almost funny in retrospect. 2 grown men frozen in a tent arguing about whether to look outside. Tyler won. He opened the tent and shone the light out in a wide sweep. Trees. Darkness. Their fire reduced to faint coals. The girls' tent still zipped shut. Nothing moving. The voice had stopped. They sat in the open tent door for 20 minutes. It didn't come back. Eventually, they zipped back up and sat in silence until they both somehow drifted off again. In the morning, they told Amanda and Reese what had happened. Amanda's response stopped everyone cold. She said she had also woken up in the night. She hadn't heard a voice. What she heard was footsteps. Slow, deliberate, walking a wide circle around both tents. She had assumed it was Tyler or Josh getting up to use the bathroom and had gone back to sleep. When they told her neither of them had left the tent all night, she went completely pale. Someone had been circling their camp while the voice was speaking in the trees. They packed up and left that morning without finishing their planned second night. On the drive out down the Forest Service road, they passed an old man walking alone. No bag, no gear, no car visible anywhere ahead or behind him. Just an old man walking a remote forest road at 8 in the morning, miles from the nearest town. He looked up at their car as they passed. Tyler was driving and said the man smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind of smile that made Tyler press the accelerator and not look in the rearview mirror. They reported what had happened to the Forest Service. An officer took their information and told them that area had received a few similar reports over the years. Campers hearing voices at night, feeling watched, finding signs that someone had been close to their camp while they slept. The officer offered no explanation. He simply told them that dispersed camping in that area was not recommended after dark in October and that they had been smart to leave when they did. To this day, none of the four of them camp in that area. Tyler and Josh still camp occasionally, always in established campgrounds, always with other people nearby. Amanda and Reese have not slept in a tent since that October weekend in the Appalachian Mountains. And that is what makes these stories hit different from fictional horror. There is no explanation at the end. No monster revealed. No mystery solved. Just people who went into the woods, experienced something they cannot explain, and came home a little less comfortable with the dark than they were before. The wilderness is vast. Most of it goes unwatched. And whatever lives in it, or whoever wanders through it at night, does not always want to be seen. If any of these stories got under your skin the way they got under mine, drop a comment below and tell me which one scared you the most. I read every single comment, and I genuinely want to know. And if you know someone who loves camping or someone you want to scare out of ever camping again, share this video with them right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps this channel more than you know. True Scare Tales is built on stories like these and the community that shares them. Stay safe out there. Sleep with the light on. And I will see you in the next one.